So according to a recent discussion with a beloved sister in Christ, I want to talk about this generation in Matthew 24, where those who are called preterists interpret this verse as if everything came to be mentioned previously in the first century. But this is not the context of come, pass by. Unlike Matthew and Mark, only Luke gives the extra verse here in relationship to the heavens and the earth land will come pass by, which is the context of the come pass by here concerning this generation. And when will the heavens and the earth land come pass by? Well, first of all, in connection with the day of the Lord, in the transition between the present heavens and earth and the new heavens and earth. 2 Peter chapter 3, which also concerns the judgment out of old, which is not unworking, 2 Peter chapter 2, verse 3, which brings us to more occurrences of this generation, where Jesus is still speaking to the same audience of this generation in Matthew 24, telling them, men, Ninevites, will rise in the judgment with this generation and condemn it. So the generation that will not come pass by till everything is completed concerns the judgment, where the Queen of the South also will be awakened in the judgment, the resurrection. This is all resurrection talk with this generation, the same this generation of Matthew 24 in the judgment, the last days, where if you think about it, we have three generations being represented here. The Ninevites lived in the 8th century. The Queen of the South lived in the 8th century. And this generation, of course, was the generation when Jesus appeared in flesh, the 1st century, which the judgment and all this was not the 1st century, folks. And so he gave him also the judgment to do authority concerns when the all will resurrect, those good and malicious. All right, so this is actually what Jesus is quoting from Daniel 12:2. Here's the great affliction of Matthew 24:21. Okay, Daniel 12:11 is being quoted by Jesus in Matthew 24:15. All of the Matthew 24 verses. So if we're going to say that this generation of Matthew 24 was the 1st century, then we have to say that, well, all of this was also fulfilled, which it wasn't. All did not awaken in the judgment and resurrection of the last days here. Or let me reiterate when the Apostle Paul said, do you not perceive that the holy ones will judge the cosmos, the world? This is not referring to 70 AD, the judgment. Where preterists have to say that there's no judgment then. There's no resurrection, or it's already happened. Again, do you not perceive that we will judge angels? Again, is the context of 2 Peter chapter 2, the angels from Enoch, the transgression, and their judgment, the judgment out of old, which in Jude is called the great judgment. The judgment of the great day, the great affliction, as in the days of Noah, concerning the angels which we will judge. None of this has happened in the 1st century. Something happened in the 1st century, but it wasn't all of this.